After my tutorial on how to make a DIY flower press, I thought it would be fun to share a few ways you can use those pressed flowers to make different crafts and home decor. If you're wondering where to find pressed flowers, you can go visit my tutorial for the DIY flower press, or you can find a sturdy book and press flowers inside using parchment paper or some type of blotting paper or newspaper. Both methods take 2 to 3 weeks, but I'm going to share some time-saving tips as we go through these crafts. Let's go ahead and dive in by making some easy DIY wall art with pressed flowers. I'm using 2 different sizes of these Lerboda floating frames, and I like that you have the option to prop the frame up on a shelf or hang it with this pretty link chain. The frames come with 2 pieces of plastic that you can use to sandwich a photo, but in our case, of course, we're using pressed flowers instead. I decided to go with a pink and white theme for this first square frame, and I had to play around a little bit with the arrangement because when I tried to put this inside the frame, it didn't quite fit, so you might find that if you use really thick flowers, it doesn't fit very well, but that's fine. You can always swap them out for something thinner. And here you'll notice I'm using store-bought pressed flowers, and they came with tweezers, which is very handy. I repeated the process with the larger frame using a combination of pink, purple, and white flowers. The purple flower was actually a Texas wildflower that I pressed myself, and I think it adds just the right touch to this frame. I'm enjoying these floating frames on a table in our dining room, but they would also look pretty on a wall in the kitchen or in the living room. These would also make a great DIY gift for a loved one. For the next craft, I'm going to show you how to take simple flowers from your garden or landscape to make a beautiful botanical art print. I had this old frame sitting in a closet, so I'm going to start by giving it a paint job. I'm using a white chalk paint to completely cover the natural wood color. I don't know about you, but I feel like we've collected a lot of frames over the years, so I love finding ways to repurpose them. While the paint is drying, I'm going to press my flowers and herbs in a microwave flower press. I've been using this press for years, and it's the fastest way to press flowers and preserve colors. If you're interested, I'll share a discount code below for 10% off your purchase. So after about 10 minutes, I had my parsley and lobelia pressed, and now we're going to take some spray paint to create an outline of our pressed flowers on a piece of cardstock. After the paint has completely dried, you'll have a beautiful botanical print. I chose aqua color for this project, but of course you can customize it to match your decor at home. I think it's even amazing how the parsley looks good on this botanical print. Once I popped this art into my painted frame, I decided to display it on our living room mantle. I love the coastal vibe of this botanical art. There's one more way to make pressed flower art that I wanted to share. I have this watercolor paper that has nice torn edges here that I think will look really nice as kind of a layered look. For the background, I'm going to trace the size of the frame onto this scrapbook paper. It has a really pretty script font that I think looks really romantic. Now that I have my pieces cut, I'm going to use a variety of flowers in different sizes to create my own artwork. There's really no set rule about how to make your arrangement, but I like to use a difference in textures and heights to give it more visual interest. Once I had everything arranged, I just added a dab of glue underneath to make sure that the flowers didn't shift around. Then I used some double-sided tape to attach our front layer to the back one before framing it. I love how simple this pressed flower art looks, and I think the script font in the background really adds a nice touch. I'd love to know which of these 3 art pieces you liked the best, so take a second and leave a comment down below to vote. For the next project, I'm going to upcycle some wee yogurt jars. After removing the labels, I applied a thin layer of Mod Podge to glue flowers on the outside of the jars. For a curved surface like this, you'll want to try to use flowers that are small and flat and have a single layer of petals. It'll just be a lot easier to press them down. You can see I struggled with this rose a little bit here, so it takes a little bit of experimenting to figure out which flowers work best. After you've placed all of the flowers, you can add a top coat of Mod Podge to seal everything in place. I actually made a few different color variations to try different Mod Podge formulas, so if you want to see how those turned out, you can check out this video up here that has all of the details. I love the fact that you can add different tea lights or votive candles or even LEDs to these pressed flower lanterns. They would look so pretty on a coffee table or even in the kitchen. This next craft is super easy and it's a great project for teens or tweens. You'll start by adding some packing tape to a piece of wax paper to completely cover the paper. Then place your pressed flowers onto the tape. I'm using a few zinnias, roses, and bluebonnets I pressed from my garden. Next, you're going to take more packing tape and layer it on top, making sure that it completely covers the pressed flowers. Once everything is covered, you'll cut out the pieces to make small stickers. These would be really cute to include in birthday cards or to store for future craft projects. When you're ready to use the pressed flower stickers, just peel back the edge of the wax paper and stick it onto any flat surface. I love using these for bullet journals or scrapbooks. They would make a great DIY project for a craft night with friends or a camp activity for kids. Another kid-friendly craft idea is making pressed flower bookmarks. You can find tassels in every color of the rainbow, so this is a great craft if you have a large group. Start by peeling off the plastic film on one side of the bookmark, and you can kind of plan out your design, placing the flowers underneath the bookmark. Next, we're going to take matte Mod Podge and apply a thin layer onto the same side where you removed the plastic film. Then the easiest trick is just to flip it over to pick up those flowers and gently press them down. I went ahead and made a few different color schemes for my bookmarks, and even though it looks cloudy right now, the Mod Podge will dry clear. After about 20 or 30 minutes, once the Mod Podge has completely dried, you can apply a top layer to seal those flowers in place. After that Mod Podge dries, you can remove the plastic film from the other side and add your tassels. And I just love the way these turned out. They're so sweet, and anyone who loves reading would enjoy having a set of these bookmarks. For a personalized gift, you could also add someone's name in vinyl if you have a Cricut machine. For an even simpler bookmark idea, check out these adorable stickers that I found online. I think they are just so cool. I'm using these pressed flowers that I bought online. This is a great option if you need flowers quickly. I'm going to start by peeling the stickers open, and the bottom layer is not sticky, so you can play with your flower arrangement and get it just right before you seal it. Definitely don't let the top layer fall down because it's very sticky. Once you're satisfied with your arrangement, you can just seal the sticker by pressing that top layer down. I went ahead and made a few different variations, and this packet came with 5 different types of jars, so this would be a really cute way if you went on a little nature hike and had kids collect flowers, they could display them like this. The last step is just adding a hole at the top if you want to attach a tassel like the ones we used in the last bookmark craft. I think these bookmarks would make cute little keepsakes or stocking stuffers for Christmas. If you've followed my channel for a while, you know how much I love working with air dry clay. So I thought it would be fun to mix air dry clay and pressed flowers for this next craft. I'm starting by rolling out a small ball of clay and adding some moisture as I go along. This is going to make it easier to roll out because we're going to be making a jewelry dish, so I want my clay to be rolled out nice and thin. I like using a glass bottle to roll out my clay, but you can also use a rolling pin. You'll notice I'm also using a silicone mat, and I'll show you why I love using that for clay projects. After the clay is about 1/8 of an inch thick, I'm going to use a circle shape here. I'm using the lid from a container just to trace a circle in the clay. You'll definitely want to keep any of your excess clay and store it away in an airtight container because there are so many more projects you can do and you want to keep that clay nice and moist. I'm just going to clean up the edges a little bit here with my clay knife, and now you see why I love these silicone mats. It makes it really easy to peel up your clay. Then you can use some moisture on your fingertips to make the edges thinner and have a nice shape to your dish. Once you're satisfied with the disc, you can place it in a shallow bowl and use your fingertips to smooth it out. After about 2 or 3 days, your trinket dish should be completely dry. Just make sure it's dry on both the bottom and the top. I love this shallow dish because it's going to make it really easy to place our pressed flowers. If the edges are rough, you can always use a little sandpaper to smooth them out. I ended up making 3 different trinket trays starting with this blue theme. You can use the same Mod Podge we used in the lanterns earlier, and I'm just spreading a thin layer under the flowers and gently pressing them down. Again, thin flowers work best for this kind of craft. After about 20 minutes, you can add another top layer of Mod Podge just to seal the flowers in place. To add a finishing touch, I'm using my favorite gold metallic paint around the edges. You can also paint the entire underside of the dish for a more upscale look. These clay jewelry dishes would make great DIY gifts for Christmas, Mother's Day, or even birthdays. You could even sell this type of project on Etsy. Let me know down in the comments what you think. For another great pressed flower craft, you're going to want to grab a pillar candle like this and a small tea light. Make sure it's an actual wax candle for this to work because we'll be using wax as a glue to help the flowers stick. Start by lighting the tea light and give it a few minutes to melt. You can see I started with a few pansies just to practice this and get used to this whole technique. I'm going to continue placing flowers around the candle, and you may have to trim some stems here and there if your flowers are too long. Carefully dip your paintbrush in the wax of the tea light to melt some of the wax on the pillar candle. You'll also continue adding layers of wax on top so you can seal the flower onto the candle. Just be super careful that you don't get the paintbrush too close to the flame. I sometimes like to hover the candle over the tea light if the wax starts looking cakey. It just helps to smooth things out a little bit. Just be super careful if you try that. Another tip is to use a spatula tool like this Cricut one I'm using here. You can also use a cake frosting spatula just to smooth out the wax a bit. And you'll just continue on adding more wax and pressing your flowers down around the candle until it's completely covered. I love this simple home decor idea, and you could customize it for any season. For our next craft, I picked up this kit to make gorgeous wax seals with pressed flowers. It comes with a stamp already, and I bought another stamp with a flat face, and I'll show you why that's important. We're going to start with small blooms that would fit into this silicone mold. Using the heat gun that comes with it, you'll squeeze about 4 pumps of wax into the mold and then place your flower on top. Then I'm going to take that flat stamp and just gently press it down into the mold. After about 30 seconds, you can remove the wax seal, and if you want to add some detail around the edges, this kit also comes with a silver and gold paint pen, so you can go around the edges just to mark that up a little bit more. You can also add some glitter or gold flakes to your wax seals just to give it a little extra detail. I love the way these little rosebuds came out. They're the perfect size for a wax seal. This kit also comes with stickers that you can attach to the back, so you can always save these wax seals for later. My absolute favorite way to use this would be as a fancy gift wrap technique. First, you'll want to attach your ribbon. I like using this double-sided roller tape just to get it nice and secure. Then you can take some pressed flowers with longer stems and arrange them in the center. Then you'll squeeze the wax directly on top and press the stamp down. I'm using the floral stamp for this particular one, and you'll see how beautiful it looks. Doesn't this look so fancy? You could use it to dress up a box of cookies or a Christmas present. Now, I want to know which of these 10 pressed flower crafts you liked the best, so be sure to leave me a comment down below to let me know. I'm also going to leave a few videos that you might want to watch next, and I'll see you next time.